How you doing, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, been a while. So yeah, obviously we're
Great.
talking Instagram, so I'd love to have your input, and you're welcome to join in. We're doing a bit of Q&A at the moment.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man. Great to be here. I really like to do stories to get a little insight into what my viewers like to see. I find them very, very useful, man. I do it a bit like market research. I ask them, like, what do you want to see? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Things I'm doing. I get a real insight on what they like and what I could do next. So that helps with engagement too. That's my tip for you guys. Stories, use it as market research. Do the question, the questions where you ask questions and you get feedback and you can do little polls and stuff, which I think works really effectively.
Awesome, love that. Thank you, Joe. And I'd love you to stick around and carry on joining the conversation. But now I'm going to pass over to Lindsay, who's going to run the room for a bit. So I'm going to jump out and go on Instagram Live and come back afterwards. So, Lindsay, it's all yours. Thanks for taking over.
Thank you, Richard. Enjoy your Instagram live. I look forward to catching up with that later. If you put it on your Instagram TV, I'm sure you will. So I'm going to just get a little mic flash just to see which mods are on stage and active. Excellent. We've got a fair few of you. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go down to, I think it's Diego with the next question. Diego, over to you.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate everyone being here and the information. So my question is this. Hopefully it's clear. So I'm a manager of a social media platform. We have almost around 700,000 followers on our social media collect, and I want to introduce a new product to our followers. That's kind of different. Our platform right now is primarily music, and we're going to launch something that's different. We're going to launch coffee soon. So I was kind of wondering what would be some ideas or the most effective way to kind of introduce a new product to our community. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I knew Pete, funny enough, with the duck on his head, was going to flash and come in here. So we'll go to Pete first. I'll look for some other mic flashes mods. Over to you, Pete.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, coffee is a subject very dear to my heart. I have a coffee business as well. Diego, what's special and unique about the coffee?
So what's unique about the coffee is not so much the product. Well, the product is great quality, but it's also the making of the product is, and we partner with Guatemalan farms to help provide a healthy work environment and also provide financial literacy. And then it also our product when they purchase our coffee, it also goes back to our nonprofit where it helps us speak in prisons for free and provide financial assistance to those that have been affected by the pandemic.
Sorry, like most people, when someone's talking like that, I'm checking you out. I'm looking at your Instagram. And look, first off, congratulations for everything that you do and what you're about to do. So you're in the story-based business anyway. So if anyone knows how to tell a story, it's you, right? So I would I would do something fairly unusual. I would well, probably not unusual to you. I'd go ahead in your mind and start thinking about how would you know that this was a success? Like, reverse engineering, like in a year's time, 2 years time, 5 years time, how would you know that this Nick Coffee business had taken off? Tell me what you want to see on the back. Tell me in a year's time, how would you know this was a success?
I would think the coffee will be a success in two ways. One, it'll be self-sustaining and help sustain nonprofit, and then two, it'll take us to our following step of launching an actual brick and mortar that would house kind of everything we're doing in our nonprofit and the coffee in Texas.
Did you say you were going to launch this on a new social media platform, or are you going to use Instagram?
So it's going to be on our Instagram and our Facebook right now, where we've already built up our social media.
Okay, next question. Sorry to fire all these questions at you, but are you getting any help regarding the branding and the kind of the identity of this piece moving forwards?
When you say help, do you mean financial assistance?
No, just in terms of how you're going to tell this story on Facebook and Instagram. How it's going to look.
Right. So relationships that I have from the music and from the film, the help that I do have with my partner is we have resources of videographers and musicians and cameramen that can help us out if that's what you mean.
Yeah, no, I do, because I think you need to, look, it's like a strategy around this whole thing. It's because it's a product launch and it's a story based. So I would imagine you want people to be involved in the story. So in my mind, what I would like to see is I'd like to see this story unfold in terms of people like you sharing the story as it grows, and then showing other people, then people making videos who are drinking the product, making stories, maybe making reels or posts that share the vision of it, right? In terms of this is why this is happening. There's some amazing people on this platform. Richard and Samantha have both seemed to have just disappeared. I mean, Dimple might be a good person to speak to. Angie might be a good person to speak to, just around putting a plan together specifically around Instagram. And I would imagine also Clubhouse would be a great place to get a lot of your people on here so you can talk to them, right? You can have conversations with them. If listen, I can help you a little bit if you want. If you want to send me a message in terms of using a Clubhouse and creating a room and creating a vibe. I mean, I've got a real thing going on here. It's such a great place because people can hear you and they can connect with you. But in terms of Instagram, there's some amazing people. I can see Angie's flashing. I think Richard's left the building. Richard's back. Samantha's back. These are some of the people I would really look to connect with to paint that picture on Instagram. I hope that's of help to you. If I can help you, like I said, just reach out to me, man, and maybe we can have a cup of coffee. But I'm buying the coffee.
I love it, Pete. Thank you so much for that. And do connect with Pete. Angie, I know you also wanted to add in here, so we'll come to you now.
Yes, I just wanted to say too, what you were saying right now about that part that you're doing about helping, for example, the Guatemalan farmers and putting together, something for a nonprofit. All of that is a really good selling point for you in the sense that I think you should focus on the stories behind, the numbers, if that makes sense. And when I say numbers, I refer to sales, because what you're trying to sell with your cup of coffee is not coffee. You're trying to sell something, in my opinion, that's bigger than that. You're trying to sell something altruistic, something that's ultimately giving back to local Guatemalan communities. And I think that's where you should be putting sort of the emphasis on when you're creating your content, because you're not selling the product, right? I mean, you are, but what you're selling is sort of the experience, the feeling that people will get when they buy your coffee. So whether, for example, you're selling coffee because you want people to feel energized in your morning, or you're selling coffee because you want people to feel good about giving back, or for their money to go to support, for example, in this case, communities of your choice, which in this case would be in Guatemala. So I think that when you're sharing these stories, rather than focusing on just the product itself or the numbers or the sales or the conversions, tell us the story behind how your product and how these sales are helping, those communities of people. Maybe share individual stories of somebody that's, for example, farming your coffee. Have a story, because people like those stories, because otherwise they get stuck in numbers. But if you share somebody's story, for example, it's like what Humans of New York does. New York is a massive city. It's got, I don't even know how many million people, but what they do is they capture individual stories of regular people and share them in such a way that it creates also this sense of connection to New York. And I think that's what you should be focusing on when you're telling the story of your coffee, because I think that is going to be an excellent way for you to build a really, really strong community behind your product and a really good customer base of people that are actually interested in genuinely supporting what it is that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Angie. Diego, do you think you've got enough help there from both Pete and Angie?
Yes, thank y'all so much. A lot of gems y'all were dropping. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Do check out Pete offline as well, because I know he will definitely try and help you where he can. And obviously, if you've got any more questions for Angie, then feel free to drop her a DM as well. So Richard has popped back into the room, but I think his Instagram live is imminent. So we will continue with questions. We are in the Online Business Club today, founded by Richard and a couple of other people that aren't on the platform right at this second. But if you're not already, do make sure you give that Monopoly House a follow. You'll get made a member in the background and notified whenever a room is running live. We're talking all about Instagram strategies that work in 2021 today, and we've got a whole host of professionals up here that are all experts on Instagram, giving away their tips and tricks for you to excel on your Instagram. So if you have a question, we've got hand raising off at the moment, but there may be an opportunity to come on up. So just write it down, and then when hand raising comes open again, you can always put your hand up and hopefully come up. Once you have asked a question, I keep the stage nice and tidy. And whilst you're on the profile, see if it's someone that you want to make sure you do give them a follow, change that notification bell from sometimes to always, and do that with people in the audience as well. You never know who is listening, who is above and below you. And out of courtesy, do give Richard a follow. He is the founder of this club. He has been here. I think we started this room at 3 p.m. So he's given up 3 hours of his time today to make sure that this room is running for you. So you can just tap on his profile and click follow, and I'm sure he would appreciate it. So now we have, and I'm really sorry if I pronounce this wrong, is it Bayo? Or is it Bo?
Hi, Lindsay. It's Bao.
Oh, I told you. Anyone who knows me knows names don't mix, but thank you very much. What is your question?
Thank you so much, Lindsay and Richard, for having me here. My question is, I work in the food industry, and I work with a lot of restaurants in terms of rebuilding their content, social media strategy, and of course, just making sure the brand is being seen online. The question here is, I'm working with a brand. We retransformed their social media images to make it look really, really nice, but the engagement and content is not, I don't think the people are gravitating towards. We're not getting a lot of engagement. The photos are great. It's being taken by myself. Like I'm a food photographer, but we're not getting that traction. I did kind of gravitate towards trying to create reels for them as well, but they're not getting the same attraction. So it's a grocery store, just to get some context, and they're displaying a lot of products. But they also create hot foods and ingredients here as well, with like a chef and everything. So I don't know how to tell the owner that their current client, because they're very rigid in terms of imaging, and everything is on a white background with a single product. Nothing very like extra on top of that. Not very lifestyle either. So we want to bring more people to come into in terms of getting their hot foods or learning how to cook with the ingredients inside a grocery store. So I just want to know if there's any tips or strategies in terms of kind of like bringing that engagement up.
Okay, thank you for your question. I know it's
Thank you.
a page, but I've just looked at the one that's linked to your bio, and it's made me very great. So definitely
Very different one.
it's very, very different, but great nonetheless. So mods, do I have anybody that wants to try and help when it comes to getting the engagement up on the client's post? So not the Instagram linked to this particular account. Any mic flashes? Maybe you could elaborate on the question a little bit more for us. What is it that you're struggling with? Is it you're obviously great at doing the photography, obviously we can see that, but is it ideas that you're struggling with because of the product, or just a little bit more clarity as to why you're stuck on this particular client in comparison to other clients might be helpful?
I think it might clarify a little bit more. It's just like I think I'm stuck on maybe convincing the client to change their style on Instagram, because the current style right now, it might look aesthetically pleasing on Instagram, but it's not driving content engagement and kind of like driving sales towards the store. It literally just like a gallery with products on a white background. That's what I'm trying to say.
Are we able
So
to look at the Instagram page, or are you not able to give out those
yeah,
details?
I can. It's actually let's see if I can. I'll try to add it to the profile. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's just very helpful if we can actually look at the Instagram page itself. So in the meantime, if anyone wants to come on in and let me know. If not, we will wait for you to just very quick put that up. And actually, whilst you're doing that, I will just remind anybody in the audience that may come up with a question, do make sure you've got your Instagram bios linked into your profile, especially if it's one that you want to talk about, as it's super helpful for any of the mods to be able to have a little look in the back end and see what's going on visually, rather than just listening to you explain that. So where are we at the moment, Bayo? What we'll do is we'll wait for you to come back, and in the meantime I think we'll go to Alyssa with her question, and we will come back to you just so that we're not holding up the stage. So Alyssa, over to you with your question.
Hello, thank you. I've followed this group for a long time. I'm usually a ghost follower, but I figured I'd come up and I'd ask a question today.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if there's any tools you guys use that you find yourself gravitating to a lot when you manage your accounts, just because hashtag Slayer, I know Angie mentioned that in this room, but she mentioned it a few weeks ago too, and I've been using it since, and it's been a lifesaver, so thank you, Angie. And I was wondering if there's any other tools you guys would recommend that maybe you find very useful.
Great question. So mods, maybe we can get a mic flash from anybody that's using tools that help them with their Instagram. So we will go Angie, then Dimple, and I'll look for more flashes.
Hey, Alyssa, would you mind just repeating your question very quickly? Because at least for me, it popped off. I heard something about hashtags and I heard tools, but I want to make sure I'm answering you properly.
I think what it was, Angie, is Alyssa is using hashtag Slayer after your recommendation last week. And she wants to know that any other tools that any of us are using when it comes to Instagram, doesn't have to be for hashtags in particular, that she needs to have in her toolkit.
Awesome. Yes, I have a whole list I can share with you. So first of all, if you're considering it, I would consider scheduling your content. There are lots of wonderful tools that you can use. For example, Facebook Creator Studio is a really good one. It's very intuitive, very simple to use, and you have an unlimited number of posts, and the analytics are very good too. You also have Later, you have Buffer. There are a lot. I'm sure you're going to hear a couple more recommendations from other people on this stage. For editing photos, I recommend Lightroom Mobile. It's also available on desktop. If you do have the option of using desktop editing, always find it too. So if that's something that you potentially would prefer, then I would consider mobile. Lightroom, which is also, I repeated myself, Adobe Photoshop is also available on desktop and mobile. It's also more powerful on desktop, but if you want a more simple version, then the mobile one is quite good. There's also Snapseed and Visco, which are some of my favorite photo editing apps. And then in terms of creating designs, you've got Canva, you've got Adobe Spark, you've got Mojo, you've got Unfold, and you've got Crello, which is Crello. Mojo and Unfold are really great for story templates. For video, I recommend InShot, Adobe Premium Rush, CapCut, and Spark Video. Premiere Rush is very easy to use. It's intuitive, and it has some great stock music. If you're trying to just see how your photos would line up with music, for example, it's a really good option. I personally really like InShot too, because you can create reels made out of pictures and not just videos. And then for hashtags, of course, hashtag Slayer app is the one that I always recommend. I think it's very easy. I really like their ranking method. I think it's wonderful. And then for content ideas, answerthepublic.com, also ask.com, quora.com. All of those are really good ways to kind of figure out if you're trying to create a caption and you're stuck on content, then those are really good resources for you to use. I hope that's helpful. This is Angie, and I'm done speaking.
Oh, Angie, I don't think you've left a single app left for Dimple to say, but let's see if you did. Thank you.
Yeah, that's like a master class.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you some of my favorites that maybe Angie did mention, but just in more detail. So Spark Camera is one I love because it has 30 different filters that are amazing, and it's really easy to add like text and just clip little video clips together. So Spark Camera, InShot, of course, is really good too. And in terms of Answer the Public, that is one of my favorite tools. So I'll give you guys a little detail on how to use it, since I think like Angie just gave you guys a masterclass. Like, I mean, that was amazing. So Answer the Public is like great. It will give you your entire content marketing strategy for the next 90 days. And what you're going to do is whatever your product or service is, you're going to type in the keyword. So for example, you could type in the keyword, yoga instructor, right? Or you could type in the keyword, let's say business coach, whatever it happens to be. And what you're going to see is you're going to see like hit enter after you type in the keyword, and it's again answerthepublic.com, and you're going to get a wheel of questions. The questions in the darker green are the ones that are more popular, and you can even export those into an Excel document. You can delete what you don't want, keep what you want, and you'll literally have your entire marketing strategy for the next like 60 to 90 days if you do that once or twice. You can make a spreadsheet, call it topic, platform. So by platform, meaning, do you want to make a blog post? Do you want to make a video? Do you want to make an IGTV, a reel, whatever it happens to be? And this way you can just have like a content calendar created from that. You do get 2 free searches a day. And so definitely check that out. I'm actually going to be uploading a podcast episode that's going to go live middle of next week. That's going to have this process laid out in detail. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see when that gets released and you can listen to it in detail. Thanks, guys.
I love that. So you have just been given a whole list of apps that both Angie and Dimple are using. Two that weren't mentioned that I personally use is Video Leap. It's another mobile only app when it comes to creating video. You can do voiceovers, overlays, etc. It's probably quite similar to a few of the others that were mentioned. And actually, if you do ever want to do the funky grids that you see on Instagram, where you see one picture split across like 9 or 12 grids, I actually use an app called Grids to do that. But the only thing is if you do that, you do always have to then post in threes to keep it in line. So I usually use it when I have like a hold in Instagram page before a product launch or something like that, and then delete them eventually. But that's just another one there as well. So Alyssa, did you get enough, do you think, from Angie and Dimple?
You guys have just made my life so much easier. I wrote the answerthepublic.com down like last week, I think, and I totally forgot about it, but you guys have made my life so much easier. So thank you.
Yay!
Use that. And you can use that for anything other than Instagram. Sorry, Angie. You can use that for literally anything, blog post ideas. It doesn't have to be Instagram. So if you haven't got that one in your bank, anybody listening, that is a golden tool there. Angie, I'll go back over to you.
Yes, sorry. I just wanted to add one more thing because I realized I skimmed over the hashtag Slayer app really quickly, and I know a lot of people weren't in the room last week. So hashtag Slayer app is a really good app if you're looking to find and create hashtag sets. It helps you optimize, it helps you generate, it helps you swipe hashtags from competitors, optimize your hashtags for reels, and it teaches you basically all the sorts of things that you should know about how to implement hashtags correctly. You can also follow them over on Instagram. And the reason why I always recommend it is because they use a very different ranking strategy for most hashtag apps. They focus more on the difficulty of you ranking when you're using those hashtags, as opposed to what we used to call before as hashtag density or popularity, which is not a very accurate metric. So the one that they use is much more accurate. It's also an app that uses the actual Facebook IP. So it goes through Facebook, and it's not, you're not going to get your account flagged, for example, by using it. So it's also a very reliable one in that sense, since I know we always have to be wary of where we're putting in our information. It actually connects to your Facebook, not to your Instagram. So it is authorized. And if you wanted to get the first month off, you can actually use the code Angie, ANGIE, 2 E's. That's always a little bit hard to remember, but it's Angie with 2 E's. Just give it a shot, check it out, and also check out their Instagram. They have really good informative videos. And if you actually direct message them, I don't know if you've tried direct messaging them, Alyssa, but Matthew and Danica, which are the founders of hashtag Slayer, they're always really, really open to answering all questions in DMs as well. So if you ever have any remaining questions, either feel free to message them or feel free to message me, because I love hashtags. I talk about them all the time, and I'd love to help you out with that.
Love that, Angie and her love for hashtags. So Alyssa, I think you've definitely got enough answers there. We would love to know, though, if you go away and implement and use any of those tools, how you get on. So do come back and tell us. And thank you for letting us know that you've loved hashtag Slayer. It's always good to know that tips that we've shared in this room have been utilised and have you've seen a benefit from them. So thank you so much for coming back. I'm going to politely move you to the audience. Don't take it personally. I'm just trying to keep the stage nice and clean. Bao, we're going to come to you in just a second. Now, I'm actually going to open hand raise to take just 2 questions. So this is a fastest finger first. So hand raise is going on. It's open to everyone. And I will take just 2 people up. And then, Bao, over to you for your question. I think you've kind of changed your Instagram now, haven't you?
Yep, I've actually connected it, so I'm ready. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, mods, is anyone able to have a quick look at Bao's Instagram and let him know how we can potentially get some more engagement on those posts? In the meantime, while someone is maybe doing that for us, Matthew, do you have a question?
Yes, hello everybody. So yeah, silly question from Matthew between 2 countries for your Thursday dose of it. So yeah, I mean, I've got quite a lot on the go in a daily basis, and I'm really struggling to keep up with momentum around content strategy and creating a content plan. That previous share was absolutely phenomenal about the different softwares and different scheduling tools, etc., etc. But for somebody who needs to just get on and bloody do it, excuse my language, and what would be the hack there to try and get a content plan created and sorted out for someone who's got a busy life? Thank you.
Okay, good question. So you're looking on how to get a Instagram strategy in place so that you can then start posting in line with your business. Is that right? Have I interpreted that right, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know some of the things I could be sharing, but I'm so busy dealing with clients and my other, so that's my coaching business, and then I've got my property business, and between the two of them, they keep me extremely busy. But yeah, I'd love to just get some insights on how I could, like some of our dear colleagues.
Come in here, so we'll go to Angie first.
Sure. I have two questions. Do you have a budget for this? The reason why I'm asking is because you can either hire someone out to do the brunt work for you, or you can do it yourself. And I just want to see which one of the options you're open toward.
Well, at this stage, so yes to having budget, but I do equally want to learn the tricks of the trade myself because I think it's a good skill. Yeah, so hopefully that'll help.
Sure. So if you want to learn the tricks of the trade, then it's, the first step is coming into these sorts of clubhouse rooms where we talk about Instagram strategies. There's a lot of really good advice coming out of these rooms. A lot of the moderators on the stages have a lot of experience, and there's actually people that come up from the audience and share lots of really valuable information too. So being on Clubhouse is a really good way to learn about Instagram, keeping in mind that you always have to kind of back check whatever it is that you hear, because there is always the risk of misinformation, just like everywhere else. So keep that in mind. I also recommend you follow Instagram creators on Instagram. If you type in creators and you go to the page that comes up, that's actually Instagram's official account for creators. And it will teach you a lot of different things about Instagram, the things that you should be using for reels, the way that you should be creating content, the way that you should be posting, etc. They have a really good blog. There was actually a post released on June 8th. So I believe that was 2 days ago. Yes, that talks about how the algorithms of Instagram work, the ways that Instagram prioritizes content. All of that reading will help you also when you're building your own content strategy. So doing a lot of the research yourself, coming into these learns, listening, learning, asking questions, that's the first way to start. And then when it comes to doing the backbones yourself, and like you said, you're a busy person, so you maybe don't have the time, I would recommend using a scheduling tool. Set aside 1 day a week, schedule all your content for a week, 2 weeks, however far ahead you want to schedule is fine. If you can do more, better. If you do it by a week basis, that's fine too. The reason I recommend scheduling tools is because then you don't have to worry about the actual posting. You just have to worry about being online when your post goes up, a little bit before your post goes up and a little bit afterwards, just engaging with your audience, making sure you're creating some kind of genuine connections, and at least being present on Instagram a couple times a day, so people can see that you're engaging with their content, and because reciprocity breeds reciprocity, right? So that's also something to keep in mind. So some of the scheduling tools I mentioned, for example, was the Facebook Creator Studio. There's Later, there's Plan with 2 N's, there is sorry, I have my list open, but I closed out Later and Buffer as well. There's a whole bunch of different ones. If you go into these rooms, you'll hear different recommendations. The thing with scheduling tools is it really depends on each person. It's like using somebody's agenda. So for example, my agenda might make sense to me, but it might not be the way that you like it. Maybe you like to have your calendar on one big page, whereas I prefer not to have a calendar, for example, and just have my days. So I recommend taking either trying out the free trials of some of these scheduling tools, or just picking one, seeing how you like it. If you don't like it, moving on to the next one. Usually on the ones that are paid, you get either a week or a month free. So try it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, move on to the next, and find one that works for you. And then just focus on having a content strategy where you're scheduling your posts in advance. And like I said, if you can't commit, for example, to spending a lot of time on Instagram, at least make sure you're on Instagram before your posts go out and after your posts go out, and putting out some stories and stuff at least a couple times a day, or at least once a day if you're super busy, so people know you're still there and you're active and you're engaging and you care. Those are some of the tips that I would give you. And if possible, I mean, this is an option if you have the budget for it. If you're really busy and you just don't have time for that engagement is really important on Instagram. Anyone will tell you that. It's the way that you build a community. It's the way that you essentially get engagement back, and it's also the way that your content gets pushed out farther, because for example, engaging on hashtags that you're using, etc. So if you don't have the time for that, maybe look into hiring a VA. There are lots of different services. and websites that you can use. Obviously, people will recommend Fiverr, but there's also Marketer Hire, which is good as well. There's a couple other ones. I'm sure others will have recommendations of places that you can look. And maybe that's also an option, having a VA or an intern. Interns are also a good option that can maybe spend some time, 15 hours or 20 hours a week on your Instagram account, engaging, posting, and scheduling your content, because those are the three things that most VAs do. This is Angie, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Angie. There's a whole host of advice there. I know Matthew has just taken on a VA, and I definitely think VAs help when it comes to at least just putting your ideas into some kind of creative picture, even if it's using Canva, because that stuff can take its time. In terms of scheduling, there is also Hootsuite and CoSchedule that may also be something that is of interest. But like Angie said, it is very dependent on what it is that you're looking to do, and also just some of them, one person will find user friendly, the other person will find an absolute headache. So you really do need to maybe spend some time having a look to see which one works well for you. Or if you are going to use a VA, ask them which one they use and which one they use quickly, because then they're going to be able to maximize their time doing other bits and pieces for you. Also, just an idea, but if you ever do anything where you do, for example, like an Instagram live, you can download that and then split it into smaller pieces of content. So if you are pushed for time, that's always quite a good way. If you do say a 15-20 minute live, you can just take some of those little nuggets and do them as top tips, and just get someone to split them up for you, or use Video Leap. I know we've spoken about that in the past, Matthew, as well, to split those up and use them as just one pieces of information on your Instagram. So there are a couple of tips for you there. I hope that's helped, Matthew.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I mean, I've got a million more questions about a million more things, but it's a process. So I will take all of this and I'll go and do something with it, and then I will be back shortly. Thank you very much for the insights, Angie and Lindsay.
You're more than welcome, and please stick around. And if there is the opportunity to ask another question, then please do. So has anybody had a look at Bal's content over on Instagram? I've had a quick look. Has anyone else got anything to add in terms of, you're trying to get your client, aren't you, to think a little bit differently in terms of their approach to Instagram? Is that right, Bal? Did you want to maybe repeat the question just one more time whilst we have a look over on your Instagram?
Yep, that's correct.
Fabulous. Okay. I've had a quick look, and I think the photos look great. It's very clean. It's very well presented. But there's no call to action. I don't personally. I look at it, I think it looks great. It looks very pretty, but I don't really know what it is that you want me to do from looking at those pictures. So is that the sort of feedback that you're getting?
Yes, and I think it's just a lot of time, like, customers will just take a look at it and they don't act on it, and we want them to act on it. So
Okay, so have you thought about asking them doing some polls and some questions, like which do you prefer, A or B, and putting up a couple of pictures side by side to try and get a little bit more engagement from them?
yep, we've done that, and people did gravitate towards a lot more like a action corner, like a lifestyle. It's not too plain looking. So we do have an idea of where we're going with it. It's just because of the aesthetic has already been set. So I feel like I cannot break away from this mold. So that's where I'm stuck at.
Okay, that's a good. Okay, so that slightly turns the question a little bit. So has anyone got any tips when it comes to, you've got a good aesthetics on a feed, but it's not necessarily working in terms of engagement? You want to maybe break away from the aesthetic side that you've already set, but you're not entirely sure how to do that. Anyone able to help out with that? I don't know if Angie you're about, or Dimple. I know we're slightly lower on the mods. We've been going 3.5 hours now. So okay, looks like, oh, Samantha, are you there or are you not there? I did see a flash.
I am here, but if you can hear squeaking in the background, my husband's playing with our dog. So,
or is your husband playing with the dog toy?
yeah, he's playing with the dog toy. Yeah, exactly. I just went on there. Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing that's great is, and I shared this before with another artist that was on here actually, but I think what would be really good is to add some kind of personal touch to this, because it is, like you said, it's really aesthetic, but it's kind of, there's no real reason for me to connect with it, just because there's no kind of personal connection. So although obviously the aim is not a personal brand, I do think that it could help, in terms of just like when you're taking the photo, even if there's a photo of you taking the photo, I know that sounds a bit silly, but I think that helps just bring it to life and gives it a different dimension. So that would be something that I think that could be useful in terms of how can you just bring people into it, even if it's people eating the food, people testing the food, people giving their reactions to the first time they've eaten the food, people sitting around enjoying the food together, that kind of thing. I think if there was just some kind of element to food, that would be great, especially because you've got lots in the highlight of the food, creating that social element, bringing people together, showing people at the venue, that kind of thing. I think that could be a good way to go. Even things like reviews. So if people give reviews of the food, so there's this guy that my husband follows actually, and he goes around and reviews different pizzas, and he's like, I'd give this one a 5, I'd give this one a 3, that kind of thing. If you could have something that the people eating the food could really get behind, that could really, almost like start a movement around it. So yeah, bringing people into it, I think would or could be helpful. That would be a suggestion I would put forward.
Thank you, Samantha, and I did hear the squeaking. I loved it very much, and now I've got my dog background.
Yeah,
talking to each other.
My dog's enjoying the squeaking as well. So,
Angie, did you also want to add here? Okay, I think so I think you've got something there for Samantha. I know it's a tricky one because you, as I say, you already kind of know what you're doing on Instagram. You're working with the client as well, but has that helped at all?
Yeah, that's definitely helped. Thank you so much. I was just trying to get some clarification, but like people has always been kind of like my gravitation towards. It's just sometimes it's hard to take people here during the pandemic, so it's hard to have the people inside the store to do it at the same time. But I'll find a way to work this out. But definitely, thank you so much for your input, Samantha.
no, for sure. And even if you can't do it with people in the store, even if there's people that or in your family or bringing the food home, and because I know that obviously that creates a huge issue at the moment, but I just think any way of not watching people eat the food, but anything like that, it just brings it to life. So yeah, any types of people, whether it is just family members or trusted people, I think it could help bring another dimension.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I very quickly need to move my cast. So if we go to Dean's question, are you able to hold the fort for 2 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Hey, Dean.
Hi, Samantha. I did have a question, but Angie and a few of you kind of just dropped all of these crazy bombs, and you've kind of answered it. So I didn't want to be rude and drop back down to the audience. So my question has been answered. I will respectfully move myself.
Oh, are you sure? Do you have another question?
No, honestly, 100%. I'm struggling to type that fast on my phone with what you guys are saying. So I'm going to move back down.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for staying as well. I think that we appreciate that and the fact that you've contributed, and Angie's flashing as well. But thank you. That's so important. And definitely come back if you do ever have a question, Dean, as well. Happy Thursday.
Will do. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, guys.
You too. Okay, Ada, over to you then. If you've got a question or a contribution, welcome to the stage.
Hey, thank you for having me. I have a question, and I apologize if this has already been answered because I've only joined the room in the last 20 minutes or so.
My question not at all.
Okay, thank you. So I kind of help moms start a business just with kids and managing their time and all that. So my question is, anytime I use trending reels, I seem to attract the wrong set of people. So I'm wondering if it's something I should just steer clear of, or if there's something that I'm not doing right. Because if I do reels and I get views, it just tends to attract people that are not my target market. So should I just stop it? That's my question.
That is such a great question, and this is so good for everyone as well. So essentially, do you know the first thing that I really want to celebrate you on, Ada, is that you're not just focusing on creating kind of like viral content, but to the wrong people, or just increasing your reach, but it's not actually with your ideal client. And I think that's great. What we want is for all of your social medias to be filled with your dream community. So I love that question as a whole. So I just want to celebrate that you're focusing on your ideal clients and not just kind of everybody. So the question is definitely around how can we make sure that when we are creating this content, Reels specifically came up with this, when we are able to attract our ideal clients. And I know Lindsay is back, so I'm going to pass back to Lindsay so she can manage the stage, but that's the question. And yeah, Ada, well done for noticing and being mindful of the right things, and we'll definitely get some good support for you on this.
Thank you for holding the fort there, Samantha. Sorry, I was blocking the entire lane with my car. So, Angie, did you just flash then to come in and answer Ada's question?
Yes, I just wanted to, before I say anything, I wanted to ask, what kind of reels are you creating right now? Are they, like, tell me a little bit more about the reels you're creating, because I haven't had a chance to fully get a sense of what you're doing.
So so with the trending reels, I just create I try to be funny a bit. But that's the one that doesn't work. Like, it just attracts random people. But now I started focusing on educational reels. So like saying 3 tips to start your business, or 3 tips to make your business stand out. So that doesn't get as much reach. But with my trendy reels, they're kind of funny, but I just attract the wrong people. So that's
File if somebody else wants to take it.
Absolutely, I think Angie.
Things to consider that we're really looking for with Instagram is they're looking at both of those things. So I call it, your reels were funny, you're getting the wrong audience, but you weren't. But if you combine making your educational reels, and whether you're, grabbing their attention, whatever it happens to be, but if you can do something that's, maybe has a little bit of like humor or sassiness, it's going to drive more views and more shares, because people love to watch things, but they watch to like see movement, to see a show. So, like, for example, on my reels, like, I will dance in them, and I'll like have words and captions come up, and people like watching those, and some of them like tell a story of something that happened. So I think if you can combine the two, if there's a way to do that effectively, you might hit the jackpot with that one. So I'm going to send it back to Angie, because I haven't had a chance to look at your reels yet, but Angie probably has by now.
Angie, are you back?
Yes, I am. If you can't hear me at some point, please let me know, because my audio is going a little bit funky today on Clubhouse. So I wanted to say, first of all, that when it comes to trending content on reels, this is something that a lot of people that I know that have had viral reels have said, is that it does tend to attract some like bot like looking followers, or people that are not necessarily in their target niche, or in their target, I guess, in the audience that they're trying to attract. So I think when content goes viral, you are going to end up with some people that maybe you're not interested in. So followers that either you are like, ooh, these guys look a little body or spammy, or not, are not the people I want to be following me right now. Or you're going to attract people that are not necessarily interested in what it is that you post regularly, but maybe they saw your content, thought it was funny, and went, oh, perfect, I like her, I'm going to follow her. So I guess the first thing I would say is that having some people, if your content goes viral, having a portion of people that don't necessarily, I guess, align with the kind of follower that you're trying to attract is somewhat normal. Because, for example, I have not had any viral reels, but I have had several of my posts hit the explore page, and that does happen. It happens that when your post goes on the explore page, like, for example, I had a post not too long ago, about a month and a half ago, that hit 10,000 likes, which for me is a huge amount, because I only have 30,000 followers. So for me, 10,000 is a big sum. And most of that was from the explore page. And I noticed that a lot of the people that were liking the post were sort of like weird looking accounts. And I was like, that's odd. And I talked about it with some of my friends, and it seems like it tends to happen when content goes viral. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, is sort of be aware that it will happen with viral content in general, because there are a lot of bots on the app. And there are a lot of like spam accounts. And so whenever content goes viral, a portion of people will look like that. The second thing I wanted to say is, when you're making your reels, of course, you have to be strategic about it, because if you're getting people in, for example, getting people to follow you because your trending content went viral and there's a lot of new followers suddenly showing up on your page, you want them to be showing up in your aligned with what your ideal audience is. Because of course, if the content that you're posting is funny, but it's not necessarily aligned with what you're posting all the time, then of course you're going to get a portion of people that follow you, but then shortly when they realize that what you post about normally isn't that, they're either going to stay or they're going to unfollow you. So it's important to create content that can be entertaining, because you can still be entertaining as a businesswoman. There are lots of things that you can, poke a fun at or make a joke about that people would go, oh, I can relate to that, or that's happened to me. And Richard, who's the owner of the Online Business Club, he's really good at identifying those things for business owners, for example. So thinking about, what's something that gives you a laugh, or some annoying thing that happens to you at work or in your particular business, or something that you laugh about, or something you think people would find relatable, that you can have a little laugh about, because that's entertainment and that could potentially go viral. So even if your value-based content isn't bringing in that audience, the funny one is, but since it will be more aligned with what you do, it will be more towards your ideal audience. And keep in mind too, that if you did check out the creators blog post, which came out on June 8th, so 2 days ago, they were actually talking about the fact that right now they're pushing entertainment as being one of the values, one of the content pillars that they want to see on Reels. So if you're creating entertaining Reels, then Instagram is actually going to be pushing that harder. And especially if you're a small creator too. This is Angie and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Angie. I think that was incredibly helpful. Ada, has that been helpful for you?
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your questions. So I am going to need to leave. So I don't know if Angie or Dimple want to take the reins. If not, we are going to close the 5-minute room that has been running so far. And
I could probably take it for about 15 minutes. I'm just waiting for one of my students to show up. So while I'm waiting, I'm taking it. I think Richard should be back then in about 15 too. So
hand raising, and we'll take on just 2 questions at a time. That way we can make sure that if Richard is still on his live, that we do make sure we can close before Angie's client turns up. So hand raising is going on. Fastest finger first. Make sure you've got some information in your bio, and also make sure you've got at least one external link filled out. Boom, 1 spot gone, and boom, 2 spots gone. So that is hand raising off, and that is how quickly it goes. So we have now got Ankansha and Vibhav over. Sorry, is it? I think I'm echoing a little bit. I'm just going to mute you for 2 seconds. So, Ankasha, I'm really sorry if I've mispronounced your name. We will come to your question in just 1 second. Before we do, you are in the Online Business Club. It is founded by Richard Fletcher and a couple of other people. They will be back during the course of the evening if the room is still open. But if you aren't already, we would super appreciate if you just followed that club, Little Monopoly House, just above my head. We'll take you through where you can follow and become a member. Angie has disappeared. She said she'd help and then she's disappeared. I love it. So in the meantime, Ankasha, did you want to ask your question? And we will try our very best to answer.
Hi, thank you. So yes, I actually have a question on a couple of things that we've always been told works on Instagram. And in my experience, I've seen that I'm not really sure if there's actually been any traction. So the 2 things that I'm talking about are, one is long form content, which is IGTVs. I feel like they are not distributed as much, or I'd love to kind of hear if I'm wrong there. And secondly, your opinion on hashtags. Do they work? Are they even relevant? And especially if you use hashtag on Reels, does it really help in any way? Yeah, so 2 things basically: long form content and hashtag on Reels.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm just, thank you. Sorry, I just needed to mute you for 1 second because it
I
does.
can answer that, Lindsay, if you
That
want
would be
it.
great if you could. I've actually got the bar of doom as well, so I can't even see anybody flashing. So this is all going really well. So Dimple, over to you.
Yes. Okay. So you're asking about IGTV in terms of the reach. Here's the thing. You're not going to get as much reach with your IGTVs as you do on Reels. However, there are some benefits to creating IGTV videos. So one of the things you can do is that you can repurpose content to make the best use of your time. So you can do a live stream on Instagram, and then you can repurpose that live stream into an IGTV video. And then what you can do with that is you can take that video, and if you want, you can turn it into a couple of reels. And this way you're going to get, the other advantage too of IGTV is you can actually, if you don't have 10,000 followers, it allows you to put a link. So this way, if you have something that you're promoting, like a new course, or if you want people to go to your website, you're able to do that like in your stories when you have an IGTV video. So that's that. And then the other thing is, you're asking if hashtags still work or not. Are they, pointless? Are they not? Yes, hashtags do definitely still work. I think that, there's a couple of tricks there. So when you're doing a post, like an organic post on Instagram, Try typing in the hashtags organically and not just copying and pasting, because it works better. And then the other thing is that you can use, there's different hashtag tools. There's hashtag Slayer, there's hashtag Expert to do your hashtag research, but definitely use hashtags. And IGTVs, it just depends what your purpose is. Like, what is your goal for your Instagram?
Right.
Yes,
So
I can take the hashtag question. I just saw that. Sorry, Lindsay, I got booted off. So I heard that you were asking whether or not hashtags are worth it on Reels. Are you trying to use them on your feed post, or are you asking specifically for Reels?
I actually would love to hear your take on both. So, what I've seen with just normal posts like carousels or even IGTVs for that matter, if I use hashtags, what they allow for is that as soon as you post it, if you somehow hit jackpot in terms of picking the right hashtags, you end up with a lot of likes in the first couple of minutes from a lot of people who you may not know, or basically who are not following you. But it's not a lot. It's definitely there, but it would be a very very small percentage of my organic followers. So I've seen it work a little bit there, but in any of the other posts I have not seen it work. And especially I've heard when it comes to reels, most people just use the hashtag feel it reel it, or like very very basic hashtags. Um and you know like the general opinion or what I've heard is that it doesn't really work. I mean, it can go viral even if there are literally zero hashtags.
Well, let me tell you about that, because hashtags are one of my favorite topics when it comes to Instagram. I think that is one of the best ways for you to be able to reach people in an organic way, and it's definitely a very good growth strategy, and you need to make sure your hashtag strategy is on point, especially now. First things first, you should always be using hashtags. So if somebody tells you not to use hashtags, don't listen to that. You should always be using hashtags, unless you have an account that has hundreds and thousands of very very engaged followers that you can count on to always show up for your content, and you're not really aiming to get your content out to more people. Hashtags are a good strategy. You want to make sure you're using them. Hashtags that you use on your feed are going to be different from hashtags that you use on your reels, though, and that's important. So, hashtags that you use on your feed, you should be using a variety of difficulties. So, I talked about this a little bit a little while ago, but you always need to be calculating the average engagement that you get on your page. So, add up all the likes and comments on your top 9 posts, divide it by 9. That gives you your average engagement number. And then compare that to the average engagement of the hashtag that you're trying to rank on. And if your average engagement is higher than the average engagement of that hashtag, it's more likely that you're going to end up ranking for that particular hashtag. So ending up in the top section. And another thing to keep into account is that hashtags that are moving faster, so hashtags that get more posts in less time, tend to be more difficult to rank on as well. So if you're using a hashtag like hashtag fashion, where the average engagement of that might be 5,000, and it's moving very quickly in that there might be 30 or 40 posts every second, then it's very, very, very unlikely that your content is going to rank in the top section. So my advice is make sure you're using a good amount of different kinds of easy, medium, and hard to rank on hashtags. You can always throw in a couple hard ones because you never know. Sometimes Instagram does push out content from smaller creators even on the top hashtags, but you definitely shouldn't be using the majority hard or the majority medium. Try to put in some easy moderate, because those are the ones that you're more likely to rank on. And then when it comes to reels, you should actually be focusing on using easy hashtags, easy to rank on hashtags, because in order for you to be able to get your content out on reels, it has to rank in the top section, because reels don't have a recent section like posts do. They only have a top section. So if you're using hard hashtags, your reel is just not going to show up in there at all. But if you're using easy hashtags, it's more likely that your reel will show up. And the good news about easy hashtags as well is that if your reel does rank in that top post section, reels tend to stay in that top post section for much longer than regular feeds. Also an advantage for you. So using those hashtag Slayer app, they actually optimize for reels. So when you're creating your hashtags, which do the legwork of having to add up all this engagement, hashtag Slayer app will actually do it for you. You can a lot of very, very good resources on hashtags, #Slayer app. You need to actually write the word hashtag and then go to their website. They have a hashtags tool which you could use. If you actually put my name in with an extra E, you can get the first month off free. I actually used their service for a long time before I even, and I really believe in them. And I didn't become like affiliated with them until just recently. So I'm telling you this because I actually really do think that their tool works. And if you don't like it after a month's use, that's okay. You don't have to keep going. But I hope that was able to give you a little bit more guidance on. Awesome. I'm really glad Bull was able to provide you with advice on that. We are now going to switch over. I think Richard will be back in the room. Very quick reset. Dimple, do you want to take the reset?
To reset. Hi everybody, I am Dimple and you guys are in the online business club, which is Richard's club. If you have not followed the club yet, tap the green house and hit follow. And also please follow all of our amazing moderators, Angie, Dimple, Elena, Pop Brothers at Law, Lindsay, and hit the bell so that when we're hosting rooms, you will get notified because we all host amazing rooms and you want to be in on that action. And also look around in the room, see who you want to connect with. Take it one step further because you're in an Instagram room. Go on over to Instagram, follow us there, hit the always bell, because one great way to learn about Instagram is to study what other people are doing and learn from them and get inspiration. And you've got a lot of great minds in here, and everyone has different specialties, different focuses. You can learn a lot from going to everyone's account. All right, I'm going to hand it back to you, Angie.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dimple. So Dimple always does the best resets. So was saying, make sure you go through not only the speakers up here on stage, but look through the audience as well. There's some really interesting people that pop into these rooms, and you never know who you might be sitting, or, well, in this case, I guess, positioned beside. So make sure to check them out too. And with that being said, we're now going to go on to our next question up here on stage. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Vibrav. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a question or tip for us today?
That's beautiful. I have a question for the panel, and I have specifically three very specific questions.
One at a
I come
time.
from
Hey,
Nepal. I'm
ask your
19 and
question just one at a time and let
sure,
us answer and then go to
sure,
the
sure.
next one. Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you so much for that. My first question is that my work is related with teens and helping them teens become champion in school and in life, and all of my content revolves around the same line. So I would love to seek feedback on how can I attract my audience. I have a basic following in my Instagram right now with the work I do because I work with schools and students directly and I get them into my page. But I want to get organic people through my content as well. I get good response on some of them, but I want to gain feedback on how I can have more of the audience that I'm looking for through my content. I've linked my Instagram in case if you want to have a look at it as well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your last part of your question? Because Angie
Yeah, I was
interrupted.
just saying. Yeah, I was just saying that in case you want, I've also linked my Instagram along with in my clubhouse itself. So I wanted to seek feedback on how I can attract more of the teen audience that I'm seeking.
Perfect. Sounds good. I was looking through your profile right now. So I'll start by going on. I'll start first. And if any of the other moderators want to jump in, just slow flash your mic. I'd love to have your input in on this question as well. So first of all, you're looking to attract a teen audience. So that's very specific. So what you have to think about is what kind of content do teens most enjoy when they're browsing social media. So teens tend to like, at least right now, short form video content tends to be where the majority of young teens spend their time, and the kind of content that they produce as well. So maybe one thing that you could consider is actually having or working together, collaborating with some kind of teenage influencers, teenage TikTokers, and have them help you create short form videos with them actually starring in those videos. So having sort of like an influencer collaboration with TikTokers or Instagram influencers, teens creating short form video content for others to want to come in because they're going to be interested creating content. It might not be as attractive for a teen audience unless you're trying to come up with unless you're trying to say something to them that's appealing to the majority of teens, which can be a little bit difficult. So all I'm saying is, for example, creating a collaboration with teens would be a good idea. So having teen influencers, teen TikTokers. And have you considered TikTok as well? Because I feel like TikTok has a much younger audience and it might be more successful actually than Reels.
Yeah, in my country, Nepal, we don't have reels launched yet. So I have been into TikTok a little bit, not exactly that much. But yeah, I'm definitely considering it. Thank you so much for that advice. I'd love to hear if any of the panelists would like to add, and then maybe I could ask the other question.
Yes, of course. Dimple, Elena, Mark, do any of you want to add to that as well?
No, I think we can move on to his next question.
Yeah, my other question is regarding scheduling content, not just in Instagram, but all the other platforms. I've been using Post to Plan recently, but most of them don't post, videos, full length videos in LinkedIn, and the same IGTV videos are not uploaded through, the platforms that I found. For scheduling content, they can have posts and stuff like that, but not videos. So I wanted to know if there's any tool available that you could suggest. I've been working really hard to find that could actually schedule videos across all platforms, including IGTV or Instagram as well. That's my other question, and yeah, I'll ask the final question later.
Okay, does anybody have an answer for IGTVs specifically?
Yeah, I don't know
I can
about
tell
that
you.
one. I don't. Yeah, because I haven't made any recently. Whenever I make them, I just upload them manually, so I'm not sure.
I didn't catch the question. Sorry about the IGTV. What was the question?
He's asking, is there like
No
a
problem.
tool that he
He is
can use to schedule like IGTVs, like kind of like you would use for social media, scheduling it? Like, can he use a tool to schedule those out?
I don't know of any. I'm not aware of any because I always just kind of post mine as soon as I've done a live, so I'm not sure.
Richard's
awesome.
back.
Welcome
Hello.
back, Richard.
What did I
Woo.
miss? I'm sure there was more people on the stage when I was last here.
Yeah, some people had to leave, but we've been holding the fort, waiting for you to come back in. So
Thank you.
welcome back. I see
I wasn't.
Michelle's up here now. Welcome, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
We're actually answering we're actually answering a question right now. Maybe Michelle will know, or you will know, Richard, about a scheduling tool that also allows VapeHub up here on stage to schedule IGTVs across all platforms as well.
Wait, I
Yeah.
didn't hear.
I don't know. A scheduling tool allows you to schedule IGTVs. Yeah, I don't know that, I'm afraid. Michelle?
I don't think that there is one. What I typically would do. Yes, ma'am. We're gonna get you some cheese right now. But I don't think I've never heard of one that schedules IGTVs. I don't think so.
Great.
I don't think there is one.
I didn't think so
Michelle.
either, but I didn't want to say no until somebody else had confirmed that. So, because you never know, there's so many tools out there. I personally have not heard of one either, VapeHop, but there are so many scheduling tools that I think what you could do is just try them out one by one and see whether or not there is one that allows you to schedule IGTVs, because there's Hootsuite, there's Facebook Creator Studio, there's Later, there's Buffer, there's Plan, I think, with 2 N's. So there's a whole bunch of different ones that might be able to do that, but I personally have not ever heard of one. So I think you're just going to have to go through a process of trial and error, unfortunately.
Thank you so much, Angie. And if I can ask a
Did you
final
have a
question in the
third?
same regards.
Yes,
Yeah,
go
I do
ahead.
have a third question. I do have a third question. My marketing teacher hates me for asking too many questions. I'm 19 right now. Yeah, my final question is actually, in context of, creating a social media plan in terms of content, putting my content out there in Instagram specifically. I do interview a lot of people because I run my TV show on national television here, interviewing billionaires, world champions, best-selling authors and stuff like that, Olympians as well. I do all of that, and I have clips in my, sitting in my drive that I have not utilized it, and I have put my team to cut the smaller versions of it and put it over social media and get reach through it. So my final question is, I'm trying to design a social media plan, like putting 3 content every day: a post, something like a quotation, a quick video, and then a quick clip from a wonderful interview or something like that, and then a video. I'm not asking how I should make that plan itself, because that is a very specific and subjective question. I wanted to have some insights, if possible, on how I should do that. Thank you so much.
Okay, do any of the moderators want to take that one?
Can you repeat the last part of your question? Just the last part.
Yeah, I was asking if I could get some insights into, if I make my content calendar, in the sense, what type of content I want to put on a daily basis, in sense of format. Like these are the three formats, three content I'll put every day, XY, like 9 a.m, 12 p.m, and then 6 p.m, or something like that. If you could put some insights into that, I'd be grateful. I'm sorry if I was confusing with that question, if I
No,
phrased
sure.
it the wrong way.
Yeah, no problem. I can answer that, and then Richard may want to also chime in. So, if you look at your content for Instagram, Instagram really wants you to utilize all of their features, not just like one part of Instagram. So, in order for your collective marketing strategy to be effective, you need to utilize everything. So, if you want like a guideline, and I mean, this is different for everybody, so you can do what's comfortable for you, but this is just a guideline. You can do 7 to 8 stories a day. You can do 3 to 5 posts a week, and out of those three to five posts a week, maybe one or two of them you can make them carousel post. And in terms of Instagram reels, 3 to 5 reels a week. And if you can start with something like that. Also, it's really important within the stories to utilize all of the features that stories has. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing like the polls feature, the questions feature, and sometimes the music feature, and all the things, because it really, really just makes everything else work better. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think Richard was also adding something to that, and I have my
Yeah,
Instagram link, so
yeah.
if I could have some feedback as well.
Yeah, so in terms of content, I've got four types of content that I basically cycle around and around. So, number one is engagement. Number two is credibility. So, like content that shows that you get results for your clients, or your product delivers results. Number three is value, so something useful to your audience. And number four is promo, so you talk about your products, your services, what people can buy from you, and how it benefits them. And you want a nice mixture of all those posts. And for me, and I don't do more than one post a day. I do eight. I do, what's it? 4 Instagram posts a week. That's all I do now. You can do more if you want, but I don't want to spend my life creating content, basically. And that's all I need to kind of nurture my audience, get enough leads in my inbox, all the rest of it. You don't have to be posting like 14 times a day or whatever. I'm sure you've got other things to do. So if you want to know more about kind of how I put those posts together, there is a link on my Instagram in the bio to like a free course that shows you how to do that. Although that course is more aimed at Instagram, I'm more aimed at Facebook, sorry. I've lost my mind after 4 hours of talking. That course is more aimed at Facebook, but the principles are still the same. If anyone wants to, I might create an Instagram version of that if they want to see that. So send me a DM if you'd like to see that, and I might go and make it. But yeah, that's it. I'll have a little click through to your Instagram now, since you asked for us to have a look, if anyone wants to talk in the meantime.
Sure. Let's see if I see Matthew came up here. Matthew, do you have a Instagram tip you'd like to throw out in the meantime, and then maybe Michelle while we're waiting?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I'm a bit of a hashtag guy. So one tip I'll give here is, I think it's something I see people kind of skipping over quite a bit still with Reels, is essentially people think hashtags don't work for Reels, or that they shouldn't be using any, or that you only need to use 5 of them. That's not true. You can use all 30 as long as they're relevant. But where I see people getting tripped up is they're not using the easiest possible hashtags they can find. And that means competitive ones possible for your Reels. This is essentially because with Reels, if you go to the top post of a hashtag, you only ever see one Reel. And so there's only one person who's ever going to get seen at the top of that hashtag with a Reel. And so to give yourself the best chances of actually getting seen through hashtags with your Reels, you want to use 30 relevant hashtags that are the easiest possible ones you can find. That means the smallest, the least competitive, ones that aren't moving too quickly, and ones that don't have too much engagement at the top. This will give you the best chances of actually getting your Reels seen through hashtags.
I wanted to add one more thing. Thank you for that, Matthew. By the way, anyone who did not yet follow Matthew, he is the founder of #Slayer, the app that I was telling you, well, the website to be more specific, and the Instagram page that I was telling you guys about earlier in the room. So he's definitely worth a follow. He's the brains of the whole #app that I always talk about. I also just got a message from Dr. Sten, who's in the audience right now, and he said that IGTV scheduling is actually available in the Facebook Creator Studio. So you can check that out, and maybe that will be the place that will work for you.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. I love Facebook Creator Studio. I can't believe it's free. It's very, very good. Yeah, I just had a look at your Instagram. So I think you're doing some good stuff. You're doing a lot of things right. Like I like the format of your videos, and I like your quick tips and that sort of thing. The problem for me that I would change, or what I would add in, I would say, is your account feels a bit like me, like, oh, here's a tip, here's another tip, here's another tip, here's another tip. And what happens is people take all these kind of like quick tips and helpful content and go, oh, thanks, that's a helpful tip, or oh, thanks, that's another helpful tip. But they're not necessarily motivated to take action and sign up with you as a coach, or buy whatever it is you offer. I'm also not clear on what you actually offer as a service either. So I'd like to see more stuff around that. So I'd like you to say, instead of saying, oh, here's a tip on, if someone says something mean to you, what to do about it, instead of saying that, might then say, my client implemented it and they got this really desirable result. Start tying in the results of your clients, or results that you've got personally from doing this, or results of your friends that you helped with it if you haven't had loads of clients. Start talking about the end results that people have had by implementing what you teach, and then people are going to want to come to you to get those results themselves. Otherwise, if all you do is just say, here's a tip, here's a tip, here's a tip, it's kind of like just like throwaway advice. People don't really take it seriously. I don't know if that makes sense, but tying in that end result with credibility is so important if you want clients.
Thank you so much for that, Richard. I was actually trying to, I am not trying to sell something at this moment most often, but yeah, I do get what you're saying. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much to everybody who were there to give advice. If anybody would like to give any further tip, I have my Instagram link below in terms of my content, etc. It's linked below. I'd be very grateful. If not, thank you so much. I mean, if I'd asked so many things to my marketing professors, you would have hated me like she hits every single time. But thank you so much for taking the time.
One more
Yeah.
suggestion I have for you is make sure that if you want to keep getting tips, follow the moderators on their Instagrams, because that's how you're going to see what we're doing. And we also post tips there. And also follow us here and hit the bell so that when we host rooms, because all of us have rooms, you'll get notified if we're going to be doing an Instagram room again, or room on reels, or room on marketing, or room on social media. And that this way you'll be able to find the room in your hallway, and you can come back and ask more questions, and we'd be happy to help you out. Thanks.
Yeah, brilliant. Great point, Dimple. I would say, Vibe, that doesn't matter if you're not selling something right now. Even if you want people to do is just to take action on the advice you're giving, it's still better to provide that credibility and talk about the results you got for people. Like, if let's say I go live on Instagram and I say, here's the posting strategy that made me $20,000 last week. Or here's a posting strategy that you can use on your Instagram. Which one of those is more compelling? Which one are people more likely to pay attention to? It's obviously going to be the first one, because the first one got me some kind of desirable result that people want, whereas the second one is just advice, and it's like, so what about the advice? How's it going to benefit me? So even if you just want people to follow you and take action on the advice, you still want to do that by kind of like just by good practice. And you'll notice, if you're doing this right over time, people are going to start messaging you, be like, can you teach me how to do this? And that's when you know you're on the right path.
Thank you so much. I'm taking that very seriously, Richard, and I'll definitely consider that in my content. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thanks. Shane, welcome back. It's been too long since we spoke, Shane. Has it been, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's been a minute or two.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we just did a 4-way Instagram live, of which Shane was one of the people, and Sabrina from our mod crew here was in there as well. So it's pretty cool, wasn't it? But back to my comfort zone of the Instagram room. But yeah,
Richard,
back to
you
you.
have to invite me next week.
Okay, sounds good. It wasn't my live. I was going on someone else's. I've still never done my own Instagram live. So if you'd like to help me do my first ever Instagram live, Dimple, I will
Yes.
be all over that.
Next week, let's do it.
All right, I am down.
Richard, my favorite thing about you, if I was speaking about your personal brand, while on that IG Live, I love something about like your brand, kind of your archetype that I love. You are a matter of factual person in the best way. For somebody's brand personality and tone of voice to be matter of factual, it's really hard to pull that off. It's really hard to pull that off in a brand. But one of the personality traits I would give your personal brand is matter of factual, and you pull it off with the balance of all the other traits that makes it such a win. There's not a lot of brands that you could ever say, yeah, their personality is a very matter of factual person and actually think good of them. But you have matter of factual as a trait in my mind, at least that was my perception. And yet you had the balance of all the other traits, and it was so wonderful to see. I loved it. You're great. So yes, you should be doing IG lives all the time. I'll be watching.
Thanks, I really appreciate that, Shane. Actually, no one's ever said that about the matter of fact thing in that way before. But yeah, I agree. But I mean, to anyone in the audience, I would say as a warning, who thinks, oh, maybe I should be matter of fact style as well. This isn't something I ever intended to do. It's just kind of how I am. I like plain speaking. I like to be clear. I don't like loads of corporate flowery language that doesn't mean anything. I just like to get to the point and be like, look, this is how I see it. And some people like that and some don't. But if that's not your style, I wouldn't try and fake it. I wouldn't try and force it because it's probably not going to come across right. I mean, would you agree with that, Shane?
Oh yeah. That's like my past decade, right? A lot of I'm that nerd. Brand guides and brand exercises gets me going. And we really can't make a long list of a lot of amazing brands that we love. That matter of factual is one of their primary traits of the brand personality. And
You're a robot, friend.
one of the first people. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh, now you're
You're back.
not.
Yeah,
You're
it was
back
just the
again.
first time for me. Okay. It was a first refreshing time for me to meet somebody where I'm like, oh, in one of your primary like personality traits for just you and your personal brand, you have matter of factual as one of your primary traits, and yet you're pulling it off, and it was a good example. So,
Well, in your opinion, because this is interesting to me, why is it that that's not really a brand that people normally type follow, like the matter of fact thing? Is it
because if you
it's too
don't
harsh or
balance it,
what? Is it too harsh or
no,
what?
if you don't balance it, think about this. Matter of factual is a way to explain somebody's personality trait. But if somebody's primary personality trait is matter of factual, but they don't have a secondary primary trait to balance that out, then you can't pull it off. So it's really hard to find matter of factual as a primary or secondary trait because a lot of people can't balance that shit off and have another trait that makes it so damn like well receivable.
What
So,
happens?
so
What happens?
Richard, for
Sorry, Michelle.
example, it's like you're almost, and this is mine is like the rebellious best friend. So I'm very direct, like you, but I'm also like I'm your friend that's gonna tell you when you got food in your teeth, like when you're messing up. So balance. If I was just this is your problem, you suck. Like nobody likes that. It's a brand thing. I just wanted to know where you were. You're fine. But it's you have a balance. You mix in humor. Like there's a lot of things. Like you're the rebel, you're also the entertainer. Like you're a couple of those things, and many of them actually, but those two are very prominent, and that's why it works. It's not just too deep on one side of it.
So if you just have matter of fact on its own, then does it just come across as like blunt or rude or what? Would you say?
For a lot of brands, yes.
Well, how about this, Richard? I think when doing brand exercises to define your tone of voice, the opposite of matter of factual is usually enthusiastic. Somebody is extremely enthusiastic, but they are frequently up in the clouds in the air, and you're always getting enthusiastic, but you're not getting a lot of straight to it matter of factual. And then there's the matter of factual, but then if you're so far on that end, then you almost never bring across any like enthusiasm to us. So yeah, it was cool. You're very matter of factual, but you do have the balance of enthusiastic. But then whatever your other trait is, I don't know, but I imagine whatever your other trait is that you really lean to the most, obviously balances it out.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, thanks for that, Shane. We'll definitely talk about this in more detail in the future. In fact, I might do a non-Instagram room at some point. Shock horror, if everyone falling off their seats now. So if you'd like to do a little masterclass with me, Shane, on this, where I basically interview you about some of this brand stuff that we were talking about, these archetypes, I'd be down for that if you'd like to do it at some point.
That's probably on the top of the list of like my dream of a good room with good people. So yep, let's do it.
Okay, maybe I'll set up a branding room for next week, because I quite like doing these Insta rooms every day, but there's only so many things you can say about Instagram before you're like, okay, I've said this 100 times today. So yeah, maybe a bit of a change would be cool. Alrighty, I think. Right, what do you guys want to do? Because I'm going to pop off now, because I've been talking for like 4 hours and 17 minutes solid, and like I need to get something to eat. So if Angie or Dimple wants to carry on running in the room, you can keep going for as long as you want. Otherwise, we'll call it a night. What do you guys want to do? If you're even there, for that matter.
Everybody at once.
Yeah, well, looks like the decision is made then in that case. All right, I think we'll go out on a high there. Thanks a lot, guys. So before I close, a couple of housekeeping things. If you want to keep up to date with the rooms in the Online Business Club, obviously follow the Online Business Club, the little house at the top. But you can get advanced notification of what's coming up along with the room link, so you don't have to search in your hallway. Using our Telegram channel. It's just a one-way notification service. Literally, all I do is when I set up a room, I send you a notification saying, hey, on Telegram, a little message saying, here's the room link, here's what we're doing tomorrow, here's what we're doing the day after, whatever, here's what time it is. So you've got it there, you can put it in your diary if you want. So you can go, okay, I'm going to be free for that, or actually, I'm not so interested in that one, not so bothered, but at least you know what's coming up. If you want access to that, you get automatic access. All you have to do is go to your mobile browser, type in Richard Fletcher, my name, richardfletcher.club. richardfletcher.club, and then you'll be added to it straight away, so you see what's coming up in future. As Dimple said before, please do give us a follow. We appreciate it. You get to see more of us in your hallway if you enjoyed this room. And do follow us all the way to Instagram as well. So click on my face, click on my Instagram, follow me, come back here, then do the same to Angie, Dimple, Pop Brothers Mark, Matthew, Shane, and Elena, because yes, it takes you about 30 seconds to do all that, but you're going to start seeing all our stuff on your feed. You're going to see how we implement the stuff we've been talking about for the last 4 hours, and it's going to be extremely instructive to you. It's going to mean a lot more to you than just kind of hearing the theory in your ears. Actually seeing it implemented in real time is going to be like, right. You're going to get, when you're just wasting time scrolling in the morning before you get up or whatever, you're going to get so much insight where you're like, right, I can use this in my own content. You're going to get a ton of ideas just by having that on your feed. So very worthwhile doing that. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, which is 3 p.m. UK in the afternoon, and that's 10 o'clock Eastern AM for another Instagram room, and then we might start doing some of these branding rooms and other things next week. So keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know on the Telegram channel. So thanks so much for being with us for the last 4 hours and 20 minutes. Thanks to Angie, Dimple, Prop Brothers, Matthew, Shane, and Elena for being around, and obviously you guys are all welcome back tomorrow anytime we do a room. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you all again soon.
Amazing.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Extremely instructive to you. It's going to mean a lot more to you than just kind of hearing the theory in your ears. Actually seeing it implemented in real time is going to be like, right. You're going to get, when you're just wasting time scrolling in the morning before you get up or whatever, you're going to get so much insight where you're like, right, I can use this in my own content. You're going to get a ton of ideas just by having that on your feed. So very worthwhile doing that. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, which is 3 p.m. UK in the afternoon, and that's 10 o'clock Eastern AM for another Instagram room, and then we might start doing some of these branding rooms and other things next week. So keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know on the Telegram channel. So Thanks so much for being with us for the last 4 hours and 20 minutes. Thanks to Angie Dimple, Prop Brothers, Matthew, Shane, and Elena for being around. And obviously, you guys are all welcome back tomorrow anytime we do a room. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you all again soon.
Amazing.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.